everyone. In this lesson, we're going to do 2 word problems related to lesson 3.3. I decided to go ahead and just make the word problems a whole separate lesson and a whole separate Elastic assignment because I know a lot of people struggle with word problems. So I really wanted to just spend a whole day to just focus on the word problems. So it says the bottom of a rabbit cage is a rectangle with a perimeter of 118 inches. Let x be the cage's width and y be its length. Write an equation for the perimeter. And I was trying to wait to see if my smart slate would wake up this morning, but it looks like it's still trying to wake up. So I'm just going to use my mouse. So my handwriting, forgive me, my handwriting might be a little bit messy in this lesson. So first, write an equation for perimeter. So we know that the perimeter of a rectangle is, write down the formula, is 2 times the length, and you can just use x, and then plus 2 times the width, and we can just use y. So for us, that would be the perimeter we know is 118 equals 2x plus 2y. Now, remember yesterday when we talked about standard form of a line? This would technically be standard form of a line. You have ax plus by equals c. It's just flipped around. If you want, you could put the equals 118 on this side just to be consistent with what we've done in the last lesson. So this is standard form of a line. You can use SF to represent standard form, okay, where the x and y are on the same side. So let's make a connection here. When an equation is written in standard form, it is easy to find the intercepts because you could just cover up the x to get the y-intercept and cover up the y to get the x-intercept. We set x equal to 0, then y equal to 0. So for part B, this is part A, for part B, we're going to find the intercepts of the graph of the equation you wrote. Now, since x and y have the same coefficients, it's actually going to end up being the same when you solve for the x and y intercepts. So for the x-intercept, you would set y equal to 0, and that would cancel out the 2y term, and you would have 2x equals 118, and then divide by 2, and you get 59. For the y-intercept, we can write that as a coordinate, 59, 0. For the y-intercept, it's going to be the same thing, because if you cover up the 2x, you get 2y equals 118, and it's the same way to solve. So the y-intercept is going to be 0, 59. So we found the x and y intercepts, and now we're going to graph the equation. So once you find the x and y intercepts, remember from the last lesson, all you have to do is put them on the graph. So plot the x and y intercepts, and they're the same. And you would create a line segment in this case, because technically it can't go past, because that would be in the negatives, and you can't have negative length or width. In Elastic, though, I don't think it allows you to make line segments. I'll have to look into that. So it's okay to have a line when you're making the graph in Elastic. Also, let's go ahead and find the rate. It doesn't ask you to, but I think that would be a useful thing here. So for part C, let's find the rate here. And what do I mean by rate? By rate is like slope, but in real world terms. So slope in a real world problem. So what we would have to do is find the slope between these. You can use rise over run in this case, or you can use a slope formula. I'm going to go ahead and use rise over run. So use rise over run going from the left point to the right point. Always go from left to right like you're reading a book. So from this point to that point, you rise down 59, so negative 59, and you run positive 59. And that's just going to simplify to negative 1. So the slope is negative 1. So this means as the width increases, the length decreases, since the slope is negative. Maybe you can write that down. As the width increases, the length decreases. All right, next example. Let's see if my smart slate is working yet this morning. Oh, still is acting funny, so I don't want to waste your time messing with it. Burning calories. A man burns 10 calories per minute mountain biking and 7.5 calories per minute inline skating. His goal is to burn about 420 calories daily. This situation can be modeled by this equation here. So 10 per biking and 7.5 per inline skating totals 420. So X is the number of mountain bike minutes and Y is the number of inline skating minutes. Find the intercepts of the graph and then graph the equation. So let's find the x-intercept by setting the y equal to 0. So the 7.5y is going to cancel. You get 10x equals 420. Divide by 10, x is 42. And then you'd write it as 42, 0. And we can go ahead and graph that. So 42, 0. The graph here is going up in sevens. So 42 is one of the tick marks. And then for the y-intercept, we would have 7.5y equals 420. Divide by 7.5 from 420, and you get 56. So that would be 0, 56. And they have conveniently located that for us on the graph. You could draw a line segment from one point to the other. So what do the intercepts mean in this situation? All right, this is very important because I'm going to ask you this question a lot on the tests and quizzes. So what does the x-intercept mean in this situation? One thing that people like to say, which is not correct, is that the x-intercepts represents minutes mountain biking. The reason that is not correct is because that's what x represents in general. But I'm asking you something more specific, is what does this x-intercept coordinate mean? Well, it means, so first of all, x, the variable, means minutes. I'm just going to write biking, minutes mountain biking. Whereas the y variable in general represents minutes skating. But when it asks you for what the intercepts mean, it's asking you to be more specific. So 42, 0 means that if you spent all of your time biking in 0 time, that's what the 0 means, skating, then you would spend 42 minutes biking to get to the 420 calories. So we can say for the x-intercept, and I think I'm just going to type this out here. So for the x-intercept, let me make the font a little smaller. So when, we'll just say he, which is the man in the problem, when he, or let's say if actually, sorry. If he spends all of his time mountain biking, it will take 42 minutes to burn the 420 calories. But you have to be specific. You could also say, so alternative, if he spends 0 minutes inline skating, and then the same thing. It will take 42 minutes, ... same thing. Okay, that's another way you can say it. But when you are writing down what the intercepts mean, say if blah, 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 then or it will take blah, 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 blah. Okay, so write it like this. For the y-intercept, it's going to just be the opposite. So if he spends all of his time inline skating, it will take 56 minutes to burn his goal of 420 calories. Okay, so if he spends all of his time doing the inline skating, it's going to take longer for him rather than mountain biking. So skating doesn't take as long to burn calories. All right, so if you need to, you can go back. Please make sure you write all of this down, because this is going to be really important that you understand how to write what the x and y intercepts mean, because we're going to be practicing that a lot. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and that is all you need to watch for today. Have a great day.